Hi, my dear friends. Welcome to Zoology Vana. Today we are going to see what about the conducting system of heart. Heart is made with the cardiac muscles, obviously, mostly. At the same time, we shouldn't miss a very powerful conducting system in order to generate the action potential. Generally, heart rhythms on its own. Heart is autorhythmic. It is able to generate the action potential on its own because of having a very special musculature. And you can see a special node here called SAN. And imagine this is a heart. And obviously, this is the right atrium, left atrium. And this comes under the left side. And this is the right side of heart, atrial side, and ventricular side. Observe this SAN. SAN is nothing but sinoatrial node. SAN. What is the location of SAN? SAN is present inferior and lateral, a bit inferior and lateral to superior vena cavum, which drains the blood from anterior parts. Of course, the blood collected from anterior parts of the body will be dumped into this right atrium. Just inferior and lateral to that superior vena cavum, SAN is present. And in fact, SAN is present in the right upper corner of right atrium. See, this is right side and this is left side. Am I right? So this is right upper side corner. SAN is located towards the right upper corner of right atrium. And what about this one? This is called AVN. This gentleman is called AVN, atrioventricular node. What is the location of this atrioventricular node? And this SAN is present in right upper corner, whereas this is present in left lower corner of course, the right atrium. So to this right atrium, right upper corner SAN and left lower corner the AVN is present, and this AVN is present in fact posterior to this interatrial septum, a bit anterior to coronary sinus, which helps in collection of blood from the walls of the heart. Okay, and this is AVN. See, here I have mentioned anterior to coronary sinus, a bit anterior to coronary sinus. These are the locations. And if you observe from the SAN, basically there is a bundle, and this is called Batchman's bundle. And this Batchman's bundle, the nerve fibers, in fact they are not nerve fibers, acts like nerve fibers, and these specialized muscles, muscle fibers, will helps in giving signal to this left atrium. Okay, so this is interatrial branch. Similarly, from the SAN, three more branches will come: A for anterior, M for middle, P for posterior. So anterior, middle, posterior, interatrial branches, obviously. So anterior, middle, and posterior. These are the three branches which are coming from the SAN, which give signal to this AVN called atrioventricular node. And my dear friends, from this atrioventricular node, here comes the bundle of His. And this AV bundle or bundle of His, it just makes its way through a fibrous skeleton present between atria and ventricles. This is the only place where the signals will passes from atria to ventricles. Why? Because there is a fibrous skeleton present between atria and ventricles. That is the reason why signal will not pass from the entire atria to throughout the ventricles from these areas. Only the signal will be executed in this area, because here the fibrous skeleton will be made its way for the AVN. So AVN passes through this fibrous skeleton as the bundle of hairs, and now this bundle of hairs reaches the top of interventricular septum, and it divides as two branches. You can see the two branches here, bundle branches, right bundle branch and left bundle branch. Two branches are present, and these bundle branches reaches towards the apex of the heart, and now they are making their way again back in the form of a small branches called Purkinje fibers. See, this is a very important system to make the ventricles to dilate. Say, ventricles should be in a dilated fashion to receive the blood coming from atria, isn't it? When the ball is coming, obviously the bowler should be in a position to catch, or mean to say the fielder, he should be in a position to catch the ball. He decides the distance of the ball, and then he will make arrangement of his hands. Similarly, the Purkinje fibers and AV bundle, right and bundle branches, they are making the ventricles ready to receive the blood coming from atria. So the ventricles will be ready to receive the blood coming from atria. So this special system makes A very uniqueness. This special system is really unique in case of the heart. And here, whenever the signal comes from the SAN, so SAN is autorhythmic, we can, I mean to say, the sympathetic nerves or parasympathetic nerves, they can change the heartbeat, but they can't make the heart to start. So SAN is autorhythmic, and whenever the signal comes from the SAN, and now the sodium channels will open. The sodium channels will open. You know, the normal resting potential in the normal nerve cell, if you observe, there the resting potential will be minus 70, but here the resting potential is minus 90. And here, when the signal comes, the sodium channels will open. That is the reason why the sodium ions rushes in, causes the depolarization. And then calcium channels will open. Calcium ions will obviously enters into the calcium ions, and the potassium gates also will open, and potassium ion goes outside. See, when sodium ions are coming inside, obviously depolarization, because of the sodium ion entry, positive charge will be established inside the cytosol, I mean to say, inside the plasma liquid, positive charge will be there. And calcium ions are also rushes inside, so positive charge will be established. But here what happens, potassium ions are leaving. Once the sodium ions rushes inside, calcium channels will open, calcium ions come inside, then the potassium gates will open. So calcium ion inflow will be balanced with the potassium ions outflow, so that what happens, plateau phase will be established after the depolarization. After the depolarization, stable phase is established. The charge will be maintained stable. Why? Because calcium ions inflow will be balanced by potassium ions outflow. Whatever it may be, here depolarization will be established. Repolarization also again will be established just because of the movement of sodium and potassium ions. So that movement of ions causes the signals, brings the signals towards the AV node, and similarly AV node will give signals to the throughout the ventricular musculature. The point here, if at all the SAN fails, see, SAN is making the pace. SAN is establishing the pace. As the SAN is establishing the pace, it is called pacemaker. It is making the pace, so it is called pacemaker. It is making the pace. That is the reason why it is called pacemaker. In Telugu, it is called Layarambhamu. Layarambhamu. So it is pacemaker. It is establishing the pace. And here the signal will stop here. I mean to say, AV node is giving some time to the ventricles to receive the blood. If at all AV node is not there, then there will be a lot of problem. So AV node is a relay station. Here the signals are stopping, something like a railway station or bus stop where the buses will stop, train will stop, like that the signal will stop here. That is the reason why this is called relay station, which will give some time to the ventricles and also give some time to the atria, so that the atria will be completely empty. Super point. If at all AV node is not there, then they might not be having so much time for the atria to give the blood completely to the ventricles. If at all in some circumstances, if AV node fails, AV node can generate a maximum of 75 beats. If any AV node fails, in some books it was given even it can generate up to 100 heartbeats also, SAN. AV node can also generate the heartbeat in the absence of SAN. So if it is acting as a pacemaker, in the absence of this real pacemaker, this can also act as a pacemaker called pseudo pacemaker, which is also called ectopic pacemaker, something like ectopic pregnancy. Implantation other than the site of uterus is ectopic pregnancy, and this is not the pacemaker but is in fact acting as a pacemaker. So this is called ectopic pacemaker. And in the absence of this AV node, what happens, ventricles will stop for certain period of time, very brief period of time, the ventricle will stop working, and then the Purkinje fibers will come into action. If AVN fails, then the Purkinje fibers will try to make the heart to beat, but the number of beats will be very less than 40 beats can also be generated because of the Purkinje fibers. Purkinje fibers are the fibers which are having the maximum gap junctions. That is the reason why they are able to send the signals very efficiently. So in the absence of SAN, in the absence of AVN, Purkinje fibers are trying to do their function, and that is the reason why we can see the heartbeats around less than 40 in case of the heart. Okay, like that. And there may be some problems in the heart blocks also. For example, sometimes what happens, signal conduction will become delayed. Sometimes the signal conduction will become very slow. Sometimes the signal conduction completely may stops also, causing so many problems. Anyhow, so because of having this special musculature, we are able to, I mean to say, the heart is able to perform, heart is able to generate the action potentials. The refractory period is also, what about the refractory period? In case of normal nerve fibers, there is a refractory period, but here we cannot expect the refractory period. There is one story, one beautiful story behind the refractory period of the cardiac muscles that I will explain in my next session. Thank you.